To this next video in our series looking at Naviate Manufacturing for Vault, and in this video we're going to be looking at the BOM export options within Naviate Manufacturing for Vault. My name's Chris Atherton. I work for Symmetry in the UK, which is part of CADQ, based in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark and the UK. I'll say in this video we're going to be focusing on the BOM export of Naviate. Naviate is a collection of tools which can integrate with Inventor, with your job processor, with Vault, and with many other of the Autodesk tools such as Revit. In this example we're going to be looking at the Vault side only. Within the previous videos that we looked at, we were talking about some of the features and functionalities that exist within Naviate Vault. The features that we looked at in the previous videos included the ability to do property management by creating a property card where we could fill in properties for particular file types. We looked at being able to update properties automatically on state change, and we looked at being able to create secondary file formats for our documents as well. Secondary file formats could be saved within Vault and linked to the document they were created from, or saved externally to Vault where we could control the file name should we need to as well. In this video we're going to be looking at the data export to ERP systems, so how to get the bill of materials out of Inventor so that we can import it into other systems. Within Naviate Manufacturing for Vault, we can do the data export in three different ways. We can do a SQL export, a CSV export, or an XML export. And we can set up as many of these exports as we require with different properties and different parameters associated with them. With the Naviate software, we have the ability to export the data ad hoc as the user requires, so we can right click on an assembly and output its BOM, or we can actually integrate this as part of the workflows. The way this is done is using something called action sets. Now, within Naviate Vault we have many different actions that we can set up, so the ability to export the BOM, the ability to create DXFs, PDFs, DWGs, sign drawings by filling in properties, etc. And action sets allow us to take these actions and actually order them so that as we change between particular states, these actions are triggered automatically, therefore reducing the amount of manual work that users have to do. All the jobs can be run either via the job processor or can be run on the actual client themselves. If we can't do this sort of exports or the sort of functions that you require within Naviate, we also have the ability to create custom tasks within Naviate. So an example of this could be where we're updating revision tables, creating drawing lists, etc., or maybe outputting an item bill of materials. By having the ability to generate custom actions, we really do leverage the power of the Vault and the Inventor APIs to allow us to fulfill whatever actions we require. So let's take a look at exporting the bill of materials. To do this, I'm just going to jump over to my Vault, and you can see here I have an assembly that's in review currently. If I want to, I can right click on this document and you can see I have several options that have been added to my right click menu for Naviate. One of these is the ability to export data. By choosing export data, I have the ability to select which data I want to export. So I could export the full BOM and a partial BOM in this case, and I can decide to run this either on the client or via the job processor. I'm just going to run this on the client for now. I'm going to hit OK. You can see Naviate is going through and it's starting to download the models, open up the Inventor model and export the BOM from Inventor. By using Inventor, this means that we don't have to use items within Vault to get the BOM out. We're using what we know and what we see within Inventor. Once that's done, if I look at one of the folders in my C drive, you can see that that revision B has just been output. So we can see that it was output today and at the time. And we can see that we have two different outputs using the name, the revision, and whether it's the full or the parts only BOM. If I look at the full BOM, I'll be able to see the full bill of materials for this design. If I look at the part BOM, you'll be able to see that it's the parts only list where they're rolled up, so we can see the additional quantities there. Now, just to give you an idea of how this could work as well, let's just delete these BOMs out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this design and I'm going to change the state from review to released. Now, as I change the state from review to released, multiple jobs are created in the job processor using Naviate. And these jobs can then go through and start running. And one of the jobs I've got here is that when I move to a release state, the bill of materials is exported. Not just the full BOM, but the parts only BOM as well. If I look at my C drive, you can see we've actually exported both of those bills of materials. Because we have full control over the configuration as well, if I was to change the state of this back to from release to work in progress, therefore bumping the revision, again I'll just let the job processor do its thing. Okay, I have the ability, again, whenever I want, whichever state we're wanting, to export out those bills of materials. The configuration options allow me to configure it such that what we're exporting is taking the properties live from Vault and exporting those as part of the name. So if I look at my C drive, you can see we've actually created the revision C bills of materials here. So how does this actually work when we're configuring it? Let's take a look at the actual configuration options. Well, with Naviate, as you saw in our last video, we have this same secure login we have for Vault, where we can log into our Vault server. The configuration file is stored within Vault, which means that all the clients are accessing that file, and any changes we make here are saved directly back to Vault straight away. Within our configuration options, we can see that we have actions, and one of the actions we have is the ability to do a data export. Within here, we can select the file types we're wanting to do a data export on and create a new data export. That gives us a variety of options. So we can decide whether it can be manually executed, any conditions that have to be met based on the properties of the file for it to be executed, what type of output we require, CSV, XML, or a SQL query. If I pick SQL, you can see it's asking for the connection string to the database and which table it's connecting to. XML, you can see it's asking for various information there as well, and the same for the CSV, different information required for the CSV. By using the XML as well, if the CSV doesn't give us the required output, we can output as an XML and configure that so it actually generates a configured CSV file in whichever format we want. If I just pick CSV for now, we can enter in a folder location that we want to export to, tell it whether we want to export to the folder structure that we have in Vault, or whether we want it as a flat list, and we can choose what actually gets exported. So are we using the Inventor bill of materials, all levels or parts only, or even just the first level, or are we going to use the Apprentice server to do this? Once we're done, we can start going through the actual formatting of the CSV file. So we can choose whether we're using standard or Excel formatting, whether we're showing column headings, And if we are showing column headings, are we just using the default headings based on the property information, or are we using headings with set names? This is important because as we're pulling that data into other systems, we may need those headings to be slightly different name to what's shown in Vault. If we're outputting the file, we have the option as to whether we're outputting with the same source name as the file, or if I pick false there, I can start building up an expression based on any of the properties that we're outputting to. So let's just take a look at one that's pre-configured. You can see the CSV file. I'm outputting the full BOM, and I'm outputting it with a different name. So it's used the file name, the word rev, puts the revision in, and then puts full BOM and the extension in. So that's great. We've now got the data going out. Next thing we need to do is choose what information is actually exported as part of this. So if I expand out my full BOM here, you can see I've got various properties. And to create a new property, all I do is right click and click Add New Property. And I have two options as to where Naviate pulls the information from. It can be from the BOM or from the Vault. If I'm picking from the Vault, you can see I've got all my properties. If I'm picking from the BOM, you can see that it is the BOM specific information that is stored inside Inventor, things like the item quantity, the parent part number, the structure level, and whether it's a merged row or not. Once we have our exports created, up in our action sets, I can come into one of my file types, right click and create a new action set, and within there I can say at what state we're going to run this. So in this case I'm going to say I want to export 2 jobs. Maybe I want an additional job exported. I can just add it in or remove jobs as required, but I'm going to run these jobs whenever we hit the release state. I'm going to run it through the job processor as well. So configuring ERP export is fairly straightforward, fairly simple, and very powerful in terms of what we can do with it. So that's a very quick overview of Naviate manufacturing for Vault and the ERP export options that we have within Naviate. If you have any questions or you want more information, please contact Symmetry or CADQ on the details shown. Thank you for listening, and please keep an eye out for the next in the series of webinars.